Alright, this is Ken Rosever, and this is Normal Distribution Raw Scores 2. In the last video, we found that if we were asked to find the value that represents the bottom 15% or the top 25%, what we would do is find the z-value that is associated with that in the standard normal distribution table, and then we would, using this formula right over here, change that into a value that is in the context of the problem. And then once we did that, that was it. Pretty straightforward. And we did that with the chart. So just by way of review, if a problem asked me to find the cutoff value for the top 35% of some distribution that they say is normal or approximately normal, and they'll give me a mean and they'll give me a standard deviation. What I would do is, because this is 35%, I would look up 0.6500 in the table, and having found that, let's see, 0.6500, is there one close? 6517, 6480. So it looks like it's in between these two, which is 0.38 and 0.39. So we can say it's about 0.385 would be my estimate based on the table. So we could say this happens at z equals 0.385. So there's the way you do it from the table. You look up this value over here. However, when you do it in the ALEKS calculator, you don't look up the left side, you look up the right. Okay, that's the biggest difference between doing it with the table and using the ALEKS calculator. Let me show you. If you look closely after hitting the calculator button at this little button here, Z with a little square next to it, you notice that it says Z alpha, and alpha is the percent of the distribution that is to the right of the z value. Okay, so what this button here does is it will find the z value that cuts off whatever you put in this box to the right of it. Okay, that leaves whatever you put in this box to the right of that z value. So if I want to find the top 35%, I would put 0.35 in the box and I would hit enter. And I get look at that, 0.385. And what did I say? 0.385 based on the chart. Okay, let's do another one. If I want to find the bottom, oh no, we'll do another top. If I want to find the top 45%, let's say that's right there, 0.45 would go in the box. 0.55 would be what I would look up in the table, because the table works on the left hand side, but the ALEKS calculator look up the function z of alpha. Alpha is taken to be what is above this value, what percent is above. So in the ALEKS calculator I type in z of 0.45, but in the book I would look up this value in the chart. And let's do that real quick. 0.550. I need to erase some of these so we can see a little better. I see something close between these two. So I would say the answer is 0.125 approximately. So my answer is 0.125. Right there. And just to see how the ALEKS calculator works, again, we'll clear it, we'll hit this, and because we're looking at the right, we wanted the top 45%, so I'm going to put in 0.45 and I get 0.1256. So you can see my estimate's a little off, but that's just because I chose right in the middle. I said 0.125, they say 0.1256. Obviously theirs is more accurate because they're not looking it up in a table with discrete values, but they're using some, not super advanced, but some advanced math to compute it within the internal structure of the calculator's programming. But you don't need to understand all that, you just need to understand what goes in the box. Let's do another one. if I want to know what cuts off the bottom 20%, let's say that this is the bottom 20%, 0.20, then 0.80 is over here. If I'm doing it with the table, I'm looking at 0.200. If I'm doing it with the box, with the alpha, I'm looking at 0.80. Let's do it with both again. So I'm looking for a 0.2 over here on the right side. Let me erase. And I actually see it right here. Okay, 0.2005. That's close enough, right? So 0.2005 is ends in that, and it's negative 0.84. Okay, if you look across, negative 0.8, and this column is 0.4. So that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. So let me just write that here. Where's my pen? So I say that this is at negative 0.84. And using z with z of alpha in the ALEKS calculator, we can clear that. And we can just hit that button. And what are we going to put in? If we want the bottom 20%, that's the same as finding the cutoff value for the top 80%. So we always do things in terms of the right hand when we use this. So I put z of 0.80 and I enter, and it's negative 0.8416. Okay, what did I put? Negative 0.84, and that's close enough. So that's how you do it. And then all you have to do after that is convert the z value you get into a x, a value of interest that is appropriate to the context of the problem. So you would then take this negative 0.84 and you would use the formula that says x equals mu plus sigma z. So if mu happened to be 100 and we wanted to know, let's say this was an IQ test, what is the cutoff value to be in the bottom 20%? Well, we know the sigma for IQ test is 15, and we would multiply that by 0.84, and we would go 100 minus, let's see, 0.84 times 15 is 12.6, and if I subtract 12.6 away, I get 87.4. So basically, if you have an IQ that's below 87.4, then you're in the bottom 20% of the human race, intelligence-wise. And that's basically how you use it. So I hope that's helpful to you guys in explaining how that ALEKS calculator button works. And maybe I can do a problem. Let's see how much time I have. Yeah, I have time to do one real quick. So let's actually do a problem. We have 480. This is a distribution standard aptitude test, and it's approximately normal with a mean of 480 and a standard deviation of 105. What is the minimum score needed to be in the top 25%? So we need to find the z that cuts off the top 25%, so we go z of 0.25. Once we find that, we're going to multiply that value times the standard deviation, which was 105, and we're going to add to that the mean. Z times sigma plus mu is the same as mu plus sigma z. It doesn't matter what order I do the multiplication in or what order I do the addition in. And my answer is 550.8. So we're going to round it to the nearest integer and say 551. Because if you have a score of 550, you're not in the top 25%, you're below. So even if this was 550.2, we would still round it up. Now, ALEKS might say different, but if you do that appropriately and they mark you wrong, let me know. I'll mark you right on a quiz. But definitely, even if this was 550.2, 550 will not get you in the top 25%. 551 will. And that's it. So that's how you do those. I hope that's helpful. I'm not going to practice this again. I'm going to say